صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله العظيم في القرآن الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن هدى الله هو الهدى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. We find that there is a relationship between man and time. The relationship between man and time is a significant relationship. For example, for the most part, the Quran tells us wal asr, by time, and it says wal fajr. What kind of time do you want? Wal fajr, and then wal layli, by the morning. So when the first is general, then it's specific, and then Allah wins. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says wal fajri, wal layli, wal subhi, wal asr. Now al asr can be either time or by the afternoon. So again, it's your preference. And the Quran, when it speaks to us about time, it shows to us that we need to respect time and that we need to be a part of time. But for some people, time knew nothing of. When we look at today, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, we see that he put a halt to time by telling them that Inni ana al-Abbas, me, I am Abbas, and you need to stop everything you're doing. And so it's almost like he said, it's the end here. It's where you meet your maker, and I will be your wasila for you to go to hell. And this is important for us to know. Number one, the spiritual timing. There's earthly timing, there is worldly, there is spiritual timing, there is Islamic timing, and everybody respects time. You go to India, there's a time. Now, times might change. We've heard, for example, times change. And this was a great attempt to remove the stability of time and to remove the permanent nature of time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Holy Quran that we have decreed that the earth will be inherited by the oppressed. In biblical scripture, they refer to it as the meek. Now, could insan have different relationships with time? Yes. Some have said that time does not exist. I don't believe in time. Time is a number. Time is a clock. Okay, in India, for example, it's let's say 8 o'clock a.m., but here it's like 2 p.m. or something like this. I don't believe in these numbers. So there are people who say, I don't believe in time. Some said that there is time, but I, for example, am in 2022. For example, today we were coming here and to the mosque, to the IILM center in Texas here, but we saw a car from the 40s. There are people, he says, I live in 2022, but I want to live in the 40s. I want to live in the 30s. Why? Because he's nostalgic. They call it nostalgia, when you miss the past. So there's some people, he's against the time. He misses a certain period. He misses the memories. In Arabic, we call it haneen. Haneen hada. He has haniyah. This is number 2. Number 3, there are people who live with the time. With the time. In 1940s, dressed like 1940s. In 2022, this is Islamic. By the way, Islam says, don't force your children to be a certain way. Why? Because they were created in a time other than the time that you were brought up in. For example, today we are used to wearing ties. You go to a wedding, you wear a tie. Did you know in Iran you're not allowed to wear ties? It's completely looked down upon. Why? Because almost they're in a different time zone. In Iraq also there's still, it's as if, you know, the 1970s, 1980s are still prevalent. So this is a problem in Islam. Islam says you need to be the best at every time. What did Imam Ali say? He said, to the Jews I am Musa, to the Christians I am Jesus, and to the Muslims and forever, for the end of times, I am Ali. So this is something which Ahlul Bayt truly believed in. Be the best of your time. And that's why the difference between Ahlul Bayt is that they were the best for all times. They were the peak of creations. They were the gist, right? Warith, if you want to see Ayub. And that's why Maryam, she was Sayyidati Nisa Asriha. But وَطَهَرْنَاكِ twice Allah says وَطَهَرْنَاكِ. And then Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen of all worlds is who? Fatimah al-Zahra ala hubbiha sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And therefore our relationship with time is of time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. This is number one. Number two, Ali alayhi salam showed us people who are against time. He says in a phenomenal narration, he says, they told him, Ibn Muljam walks into the room, and Imam Ali says, look at this guy. They tell him, yeah, what about him? They tell him, that's my killer. They said, why don't you kill him? He said, he still didn't kill me. So he is what? Against the time. Imam Ali alayhi salam is saying that I know that he will kill me, but I cannot prevent this guy from killing me, because he is destined to kill Ali ibn Abi Talib. أريد حباؤه ويريد قتلي. I want what's best for the guy, but he wants me dead. So, unfortunately, there are people who don't have a respect for time. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, he wished to show them the truth. There is this one guy by the name of Ali ibn Yaqtin. He lived in the time of 7th Imam alayhi salam. And again, he shows him what's happening, and he tells him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, there's many pilgrimers in the Hajj today. He said, these aren't real men. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, come closer, let me tell you what I mean exactly. He says, look between my two fingers. He looks between his two fingers and he sees like pigs and monkeys doing the tawaf. He's like, their true nature is animalistic. So what did the Imams want from us? The Imams wanted us to see the truth. They wanted us to understand the truth. They wanted us to be able to handle the truth. Because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, if you ask me. It's about handling the truth. Could you handle what they tell you about yourself? On the 10th of Muharram, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he showed them who they really are. Abis is crazy for his love for Ahlul Bayt. Ghafariyan brothers find death to be humorous. You are what you think about death. What do you think about death? Some say, I don't believe in death. For example, Fir'aun, he's like, there's a comeback. There's always a return. Just too scared to be away from his gold, to be away from his crown, to be away from his women. And this is Fir'aun. Or for example, you had other people who couldn't handle the truth. Hammam was one. There were also people who, when Imam Ali alayhi salam would tell them something, they would remain Muslims, but they would have their own type of Islam. For example, the Khawarij. What are Khawarij? Have you read about Khawarij? Khawarij, in the Battle of Siffin, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he sees that Umar ibn al-As and these kinds of punks, they got punked by raising the Quran on spears. So you can't fight them anymore because they're raising the Quran and spirits. So all of them stop. Imam Ali's side, they stop fighting. And he tells them, why did you stop fighting? And they say, because there's Qur'ans and spirits. He's like, I'm the speaker of Quran. They're like, no, that's too much. They didn't like it. He tells them, and Al-Quran natiq. What's the problem with that? It's no plot twist. It's no plot twist. I am the speaker of Quran. And then the first one to leave, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari comes in, Abdul Rahman ibn Muljam jumps in, they all leave, and they create this group called the Exiters, Khawarij. And I remember Ibn Abbas, he was sent by the Imam to go and see what they're doing. So he goes to their house, you know, you're not supposed to do that. He goes close to their house, and he's like, they have the Quran memorized. They have the Quran memorized, these guys. And they know Quran possibly more than me. And then he's like, yeah, that's how these people are. In the Quran, حَمَّالٌ ذُو وُجُوهٍ. There's many faces to the Quran. And many faces to these people as well. So Abdul Rahman ibn Muljam, he says that I want to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they're like, how do you want to get close? He's like, by killing Ali ibn Abi Talib. And when do you want to do this? He's like, on Laylatul Qadr. So he comes to the night of power, the night of decree, and he ends up killing Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam in an attempt to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now if I can say, do these people really think they're on haqq? Or do they low-key know that they're on batil? In my opinion, and in the opinion of the Quran, and in the opinion of Islam, and in the opinion of Hadith, and in the opinion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they know that they're on batil. For example, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. الَّذِينَ يَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلْ. There are ones who cut what Allah wanted to be cut. This is one. They know it. Number two, which is even clearer. Yes, يفسدون في الأرض ويحسنون or يظنون. They have ظن أنهم يحسنون صنعا. إذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض. Do not be of the ones who are spreading corruption in this earth. What do they do? قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون. Allah says, ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون. The Quran says, they say we're good, but they're evil. However, they don't feel it. They don't have a feeling. Could you convince people that you are on haqq, whereas you are truly on batil? So who does this verse refer to? Muawiyah. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. If you go to the tafsir, this verse, you will find narrations about who? About Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, he had many people. And Imam Ali, Rasulullah says, 10 of mine are equivalent to one of Muawiyah's. 10, because of their loyalty. You know, people were like, pray with Ali, eat with Muawiyah. Pray with Ali, eat with Muawiyah. We'll go with Muawiyah. And then he was like, we need to pray Friday prayers on Wednesdays. Just slowly starting to change the religion. So this kind of deception, this kind of trickery, this kind of mockery of the religion. But still, how many people were in Karbala? Some say 70,000, some say 30,000. However, it was a large number versus 72. This is a crazy problem. And always outnumbered Bani Hashim. Why? Because the Quran wants it this way, brothers and sisters. This is how Allah wants Islam to be. بدأ غريبا وسيعود غريبا. Islam began strange and lonely, and it will end strange and lonely. So, what is our duty and so on and so forth? So number two, the discussion of أريد حباؤه ويريد قتلي. It's an essential point. Number two. Number three, we will find that there are the neurotic pathway that Islam was so eager to initiate within the mind of the human being. There is the 'ada, number one. There's stages. Inna hudallahu wal huda. The guidance of Allah is the true guidance. For example, you have a habit. It starts off as, how do I become great? People want to become great, right? Well, it starts off as a 'ada. It starts off as a habit. For example, every day you wake up for Salatul Layl. You have to push yourself. And then it becomes a malaka. Later on, it becomes permanent. You start to become a tool in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. عبدي أطعني تكن مثلي تقل للشيء كن فيكون. O my servant, ما زال عبدي يتقرب لي بالنوافل حتى أكون عينه التي يرى بها حتى أكون يده التي يبطش بها حتى أكون لسانه الذي ينطق به. The human being, brothers and sisters, could reach a point where he begins to see things through the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do I mean? When we read the ziyarah of our 12th Imam is referred to as Aynullahi fi ardih. Assalamu alayka ya Aynullahi fi ardih. So that he's the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we've read about in school quantum theory. There's some people, they've read quantum theory. And how time and so on and so forth. I spoke to you about time. However, the Muslim and the mu'min, he can be where he is not in yet. What do I mean? When we read about Karbala, you're supposed to feel as if you were in Karbala. You were there. Ya laytana kunna ma'akum. We wish we were with you in Karbala. We wish. So how to be where I'm not, and how not to be where I am. When you're sitting next to also other great people, you feel as if he is, yes, thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith says, "An-nazar ila wajh al-alam ibadah." Looking at the face of the alim is ibadah. And also, يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. We wish we were with you. So the past and the present and the future all unites within the Muslim. It reaches a level of unity within the life of the lover of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He does not, لا تلتبس عليه اللوابس. The past, he knows what brought Fir'aun down. He knows what caused the success of Musa alayhi salam. He also knows what is the current tricks of shaitan. He also knows this. In the future, he knows what will happen in the time of our 12th Imam. But he lives it. He becomes the strength of Musa. And he knows how to back away the disease of Fir'aun. So, this is quantum theory. This is what you guys have been studying. Quantum theory is how to not be taken by surprise by what caused Fir'aun to fall and what caused Nimrud and Qarun and Haman to fall. How are you going to get there? What's going to get you to this level? Fir'aun thought it's a physical ladder. No, it is a spiritual ladder. وَإِن بَعَدَتْنِ عَنْكَ الدُّهُورِ. Imam Sahib al-Zaman says to Imam al-Hussein, he says, if destiny separated me from you, لَأَنْجُبَنَّكَ صَبَاحًا وَمَسَاءً. How? Through tears. إِنَّ هُدَى اللَّهِ هُوَ الْهُدَى. The guidance of Allah is the true guidance. This verse is insinuating and suggesting that you could get guidance from somewhere else, but it's not a real guidance. هُوَ الْهُدَى. إِنَّ هُدَى اللَّهِ, verse, phenomenal verse. إِنَّ هُدَى اللَّهِ هُوَ الْهُدَى. The guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the true guidance, and there's no better way of getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than by crying about Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Today we remember the brother of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Abul Fadl al-Abbas, where he comes to the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and he tells him, Ya Aba Abdullah, what do they want? He says, water. This is all they want. He says, I will go and get them water. But he doesn't get them water instantly. He goes to Shimr. He tells him, Shimr, just give us water and it's end. of the war. Just do this. And he told him that I will give you amnesty, because Shimr, you know, is related to Abu al-Fadl. And then Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, he made these phenomenal lines. He says, أَتُؤْمِنُنِي وَابْنَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ لَا أَمَانَ لَهُ. You give me amnesty and care and protection, while the grandson of Rasulullah has no amnesty. And he then goes onto the field, fighting like the warrior that he is. He gets to the water, and he wants to fill the flask with water, but he remembers the thirst of Zainab, he remembers the thirst of Hussein, he remembers the thirst of Sukayna and Ruqayyah. So he says, Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husayn huni wa ba'dahu la kunti aw takuni. هذا الحسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين. He says, never ever will I drink while Hussein is thirsty. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, Ajarakum Allah, mounts his horse once again. He starts to kill and kill and kill, until they said, this is the son of Ali, this is the son of al-Baneen. We cannot fight him directly, hit him from behind the palm tree. Yazid ibn al-Raqqad, he strikes the Imam on his right arm. He removes and transfers the flask to his left arm, and he says, Wallah, إن قطعتم يميني إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق اليقين نجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, do you know why they went for his eye? Because when you looked in the eye of Abu al-Fadl, you saw death. When you looked into the eye of Abu al-Fadl, you saw the angel of death waiting to embrace you as well. However, Ajarakumullah, they cut the left arm of Abu al-Fadl. One scholar says that he saw Abbas in his dream. He told him, Ya Shaykh, when you fall onto the ground, what protects your chest from collapsing and squishing the arrows into your chest? He says, it is the arms. He said, what do? I have no arms. The arrows crushed into my chest, Ya Shaykh. An arrow comes into the right eye of Abbas. He shouts out, never in 35 years did they hear Hussein being called directly by his name through Abbas. He would also always say what? He would always say, Mawlai, Sayyidi, Imami, Akhiya Hussein. Only when he was dying, he says, Adrik akhaka Aba Abdullah ya Hussein. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Ajarakumullah, he comes to the body of Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl hears hooves of horses and steps of folk coming closer to him. He says, Ya Hadha, la taqtuluni hatta ya'ti ibn walidi uwaddi'uhu wa yuwaddi'uni. He says, don't worry, O Abbas, it is me, it is Hussein. He comes down to Abu al-Fadl. He sees that he has an arrow in his eye. He removes the arrow from his eye. He tells him, let me pick you up and take you back to the tents of Zainab and Sukayna. He says, no. He asks him why. He says, for two reasons. The first reason is that it's time for me to leave. The second reason is that I requested water from Sukayna, and she told me, oh Abbas, you never let us down. You know, when they saw the flags going in turbulence left and right, they knew something was wrong with Abbas, because Abbas means dignity, Abbas means victory, Abbas means success. And this is why he left him in his spot. His soul leaves his body. He goes back to the tents and he sees Zainab. She tells him, Akhi ya Hussein, Ayna al-Abbas. He collapses the khayma and the tents of Abbas. He tells her, Azzam Allahu laki al-ajr bistishhadi akhik al-Abbas. You know, when we remember Arba'een, they saw that Zainab had, yes, something in her abba. They told her, what's in your abba, oh Zainab? She said, this is the head of Hussein. But there was one thing that's really hurt her even more, because Abbas was what Amir al-Mu'mineen placed the hand of Zainab in his hand. He says, take care of her. She is the Prince of Medina. Her shadow wasn't seen, but now her cheeks are being slapped by the hands of foreigners. She goes to the body of who? Of Abu al-Fadl Abbas alayhi salam, and she tries to what? To reattach the hands of Abbas to his body. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-'aliyyil 'azim. إلهنا بعطش الحسين وغربة الحسين ووحدة الحسين في كربلاء عجل وليك الفرج يسر أمورنا اغفر ذنوبنا وفقنا لخدمة الحسين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ويزاي سورة الفاتحة والصلاة والسبيع صلوات.